How does a man go from sprinkling salt into global stardom to being banned from the World Cup, sued by his staff, and running restaurants that look more like ghost towns than hotspots? This is the story of Salt Bae, the chef who turned a sprinkle into an empire, only to watch it crumble under the weight of hype, ego, and scandal. It all started with a single gesture, a pinch of salt cascading down his forearm, landing on a perfectly sliced steak. In an instant, he was everywhere. Memes, music videos, late-night shows. Salt Bae was the internet's new obsession. Celebrities lined up for a taste. From athletes to rappers to Hollywood elites, everyone wanted the golden steak, the sprinkle, the moment captured for Instagram. His restaurants turned into playgrounds for the rich, where a simple dinner became a flex for social media. But the higher the spotlight, the harsher the fall. The problem started with the price tag. Customers were stunned at how much the experience cost. A $275 tomahawk steak that came out cooked wrong. A bill flaunted online showing over $140,000 in charges, proudly posted by Salt Bae himself like it was a trophy. Gold leaf steaks became the symbol of excess, shiny, tasteless, and available on Amazon for $10, but sold in his restaurants for thousands. For a while, people paid for the clout, but eventually they realized the food wasn't worth the hype, and the backlash was only just beginning. The turning point came on the world's biggest stage, the 2022 World Cup final. Argentina had just won, players were crying, history was being made. And out of nowhere, Salt Bae forced his way onto the pitch. He grabbed Messi, yanked his arm like an overeager fan, and even snatched the World Cup trophy, lifting it into the air as if he was the star of the match. The internet erupted with disgust. FIFA launched an official investigation and banned him from future events. In that moment, the shift was clear. Salt Bae wasn't funny anymore, he was cringe. The internet stopped laughing with him and started laughing at him. But humiliation didn't stop there. At the Champions League final, he showed up in a tux and sunglasses, trying to make another grand entrance. This time, security had enough. They spotted him, stopped him cold, and fans actually cheered as he was pushed back. Salt Bae tried to spin it online, claiming he was just passing by. Passing by? At night? In a tuxedo? Nobody was buying it. Comment sections turned into roast sessions, and the damage to his image was brutal. While his ego was busy chasing fame, his restaurants were collapsing. In London, profits crashed nearly 50%. Reviews piled up describing the food as overpriced and underwhelming. A customer dropped 600 pounds on a steak covered in gold and left hungrier than when he came in. In Boston, his restaurant was shut down for safety violations. In New York, doors closed completely. Miami became a magnet for protests and scandals. Even in Dubai, where Salt Bae once had untouchable status, critics reported empty dining rooms where lines used to stretch around the block. The empire was rotting from the inside, and behind the kitchen doors, things were even uglier. Former employees accused him of skimming tips, stealing 3% of their service charge, and firing anyone who questioned him. Some claimed he confiscated passports, ran his staff with humiliation and fear, and treated labor laws like they were optional fine print. One lawsuit compared him to Tony Montana, not exactly the image of fine dining. In one shocking case, 4 employees who pushed back on stolen tips were fired, then sued him for wrongful termination. He wasn't running restaurants, he was running a dictatorship. Then came the night that turned theatrics into tragedy. At his Istanbul location, one of his signature fire shows went horribly wrong. Flames shot out of control, engulfing nearby diners. 4 customers were badly burned, including a Russian model who suffered third-degree burns on more than a third of her body. And how did Salt Bae's team respond? By allegedly destroying the security footage. No apology, no payout, no accountability. Just silence and cover-up. Imagine walking into a steakhouse and leaving with your life permanently scarred. And if setting customers on fire wasn't enough, his political missteps ignited even more outrage. He served gold-plated steaks to Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro while millions of Venezuelans were starving. The internet exploded with anger. Protesters surrounded his Miami restaurant in fury. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, he posted a tribute to Fidel Castro right before opening in Miami, a city filled with Cuban exiles who despise Castro's regime. That wasn't just reckless, it was brand suicide. The scandal stacked higher. In Miami, one customer claimed he was slapped with a $1,000 gold steak he didn't order. When he refused to pay, Salt Bae's staff allegedly called the cops on him. Imagine going to dinner, being served the wrong dish, disputing it, and suddenly facing police threats. That's not fine dining. That's extortion dressed in luxury plating. The numbers tell the rest of the story. His follower growth has flatlined. Engagement has tanked over 70%. Every post turns into a roast. Every comment section is a meme. The celebrities who once gave him free promo no longer want him at their tables. Without the A-listers, his hype machine broke down, and the restaurants that were once impossible to book are now desperate to fill seats, dangling cheap lunch specials just to get people in the door. Salt Bae didn't crash overnight. He spiraled drip by drip, steak by steak. From overpriced gimmicks to humiliating stunts, from lawsuits to actual fires, his empire collapsed because it was built on show, not substance. He wasn't just a chef, he was a performance, a meme in sunglasses. And when the performance stopped being entertaining, there was nothing left. The real tragedy isn't just the fall, it's that he had every opportunity to pivot. He could have used his viral fame to build a respectable chain of solid restaurants, serving real food at fair prices. He could have shifted from meme to businessman, from spectacle to legacy. But instead, he leaned harder into the gimmick. He believed his own hype. And when the internet moved on, his empire had nothing to stand on. In the end, Salt Bae isn't remembered as a groundbreaking chef. He's remembered as a cautionary tale. Proof that hype fades and ego alone won't keep you fed. He's the man who sprinkled salt into history only to crumble under his own arrogance. Fame gave him everything. But when the sprinkle turned into a spectacle and the spectacle turned into a scandal, fame took it all back. So, if you ever find yourself in the spotlight, remember this. Attention doesn't equal respect, and clout doesn't equal legacy. Because once people see through the act, they move on without hesitation. Salt Bae is living proof of how fast it all slips away when you mistake the spotlight for admiration. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss the next wild celebrity story. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about Salt Bae's downfall. And don't go anywhere, because the next video on your screen is even crazier.